Hello everyone, I am Jason Bjorklund of the Iowa Golf Association, and in today's short tutorial video we're going to be talking about a few of the features related to the reporting side of things on the GHP Handicap program software version. Specifically, we're going to be talking about print groups, and then we'll get into showing a few reports, handicap reports that are great for bulletin boards, how to export those reports, and a little bit of editing and customizing as well. I'll show you the capabilities that are there for you. I already have my management side of the program open, so I'm going to go ahead and get that open here, and click on the report button on the left. Down at the bottom there's an Other Functions tab. We're going to click on that, and you're going to see a Manage Print Groups. Go ahead and select that. Right now my drop down is blank, so I don't have any print groups. So I'm going to go ahead and add a group, and I'm going to call this my Monday morning group. And we'll say OK to that. Now I'm able to put anybody from my roster into that selected players column, and they'll be in that group. So I'm going to use the left arrow and get everybody over into the available, because not everybody's in this Monday morning group. And then I'm going to go through and select those who apply to the group I'm setting up. Think of this as a league. Think of this as just a small to a medium-sized group of golfers that get together and play on a weekly basis. You might want reports that just focus on that group. So I'm going to go ahead here. You see I've got 5 golfers selected right now for my Monday morning group. I'm going to say OK to that, and I'm going to close this. So now I have a print group set up, and I can always go back in, manage the print group, and edit the group, even rename the group I have here, edit players. Maybe somebody got added to it. You can certainly do that at any time by just doing the Manage Print Group option. So now that we have one set up, and I'm in my reporting already, let's go ahead and go to the handicap report that I prefer. I think it's the best one out there for bulletin board material. It'll show golfers what their index is and what their course handicap is and how it converts to each set of tees at a club. So you're going to go ahead and do the course handicap folder and the subfolder of course handicap and trend. And the 2 reports I like are the course handicap report 12 tees and course handicap report 8 tees. And the only difference there is that the 12 tees are in a landscape version and the 8 tees are in a portrait style. Let's go ahead and choose the 8 tees. We have that selected in blue, so I can go down to the bottom and click Run. And we have a few settings to go with here. I'm going to go ahead and select my men's 18 service, and I'm going to want all my tees, and actually I'm going to put them in order here. I think my gold tees are the shortest, followed by the whites, the blues, and then the blacks, and that'll make sense in just a moment when we run this report. So I have my entire men's service who is active, 18-hole service, 18-hole tees. Go ahead and say OK to that, and let's see the report we get. It's a print preview style, and you can see they're alphabetized by last name, so you can see each index and what it converts to for each set of tees at the club. And I can close this, click Run again, and if I didn't want the white tees for some reason in that report, I could just simply move it away and put it in the available. Another nice feature here is that we could even change it to a 9-hole course handicap, and now we're going to get to see the fronts and the backs of each. So let's say we have our men's 18-hole service again, but for an event that's coming up, they're just going to play the front 9 of the black tees. I'll move that over, and I'll say OK. And now I have what their handicap index is. Obviously, because they keep an 18-hole index, it's showing for 18 holes. But then it's going to show what it converts to for just that front 9 black tees that I selected. So Dr. Carl's going to get 5, Larry's going to get 7, on down the line. Now, if you recall, when we did our print groups, they can come in handy as well in any type of reporting. Print group drop down is none, but I could change this to my Monday morning group. I'm going to change it back to my 18, and maybe my Monday morning group strictly plays the white tees, so that's the only one I need for them. They just like a report that is just their people, just their group, and just the tees they play. Got my settings the way I like it, and there you go. Just includes the people I have in there, what they convert to for their set of tees. Obviously, we can print this from any printer that's hooked up to the computer you're running. You could also export the report. Top left, I can click that, and I could save this as a PDF, name it whatever I want, save it to my desktop or the appropriate file location, and maybe I want to email it to somebody. So maybe Kevin is the leader of my Monday morning men's group, and he wanted a report of their group. So I could save it as a PDF on my computer, and then I could simply attach it in an email and send it to him, and he'd have that for his records. So there's a few of the options for exporting as well. In the editing and customizing of reports, we have a few options here, and I'm going to just close out the reports and start fresh here. Again, click on reports, and for example, now let's go to players, and you'll see that anything with a blue logo on the left of it, that means that it's a standard report that was issued by the GHP program, and you can't delete those. But the ones with red are custom reports that I have created based on the already issued standard reports. So for example, I find a player detail report, and I can kind of see it by a preview. It's going to give me name, member type, gender, GHN number, and local number. I'm going to click design down here at the bottom. It says, would you like to use the selected report as a template? I'm going to say yes. And now I'm going to just give this a new name. I'll keep it player detail report, but I'll go online example. Online video example. How's that? We say OK, and we have a designer come up. And I liked everything about this except the local number. I don't use local numbers. I don't need that. I could delete it, or when I have it selected here, I could go up to the top right, and I could change it to, say, email for my header. And then I click the data field that it's drawing from. Again, go to the top right, and I get a drop down of all kinds of data fields that I can choose from. And if I choose email address, because I know email addresses can get a little long, I might want to stretch that field to the very edge just to accommodate any addresses that might have a large amount of characters. And maybe down at the bottom I don't need the footer that's automatically supplied there. Let's get rid of that. And maybe member type. I don't need to know if they're a regular or a junior for this particular report, so I can even delete those two. And because I have this blank space now and I want to move them in, I'm going to click on gender. I'm going to hold the control key down on my keyboard, and while keeping the control key pressed down, continue to select the rest of the fields. That allows me to make multiple selections. I release the control key, and now I use the arrows to bring in those fields and fill in that blank space. Now I can go down here, click Save, and you'll see I have a player detail report online video example now with the red icon, and I can go ahead and run this report. And I'll choose my test club, and for this example, let's say I just want to run the men's service. Obviously, I just need the male gender. Active only is fine. We'll go ahead and say OK. And you can see that the report reflects the changes I made. I took out the column that had their member type, and my email addresses are here as well for those that have them in their accounts. So for all the blank fields here, you can see that Larry, Kevin, Gary, and so on, they don't have an email address in their player management account right now. I could use this report as a a checking tool to to see how many players I need to get an email address from so I can ensure that they get their handicaps emailed to them on a regular basis. Go ahead and close this. I'm going to exit out of this again. And the last thing I'm going to show you in reports is the favorites folder, which opens up when you first open the report. And for most of you, it may be blank. There might be nothing here. But let's say my course handicap folder, subfolder course handicap and trend, and I like that 8 version handicap report. I can select it, click add to favorites. I could even name it whatever I'd like. I could say it's my bulletin board report and say OK. It doesn't move it out of its current location, but what it does do is put it in the favorites so you can easily find it for next time when you want to come back in and run it. You can still access it through the same path. You didn't rename it in this subfolder. You just gave it a special name, so it's in your favorites folder now. I'd encourage you to take a little time and look through all the reports available to you here. You can find a report that's close to what you're looking for, or more than likely exactly what you're looking for. But if it's close and it needs to be edited a little bit, feel free to call the IGA staff. We'll be happy to work with it, get it set up the way you'd like it. We can even email it to you then and walk you through how to import it in so you have that report that we customized from our office. So that concludes this segment of focusing on print groups and reports. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to contact the IGA staff at any time. Thank you.